Cuomo hopes Trump will help him beat Mamdani. Andrew Cuomo was at a donors-only event in the Hamptons, and he was caught on a hot mic. I don't even know if it was a hot mic, but there was reporting that says he's basically hoping to become the Republican candidate for the New York City's mayor race. Let's address the elephant in the room. Nothing screams, I want to be the mayor of New York City, like being at the fucking Hamptons. Look, let's just analyze the juxtaposition. You have Zohran Mamdani, who every day is in one of the 5 boroughs. He's on the subway. He's on a bus. He's talking to people in Jackson Heights. He's talking to people in the Bronx. He's going to downtown Manhattan. He's doing his thing. He's shaking hands. He's kissing baby. He's helping someone's grandma cross the street. He's in this shit, bro. He is tapped in to what New Yorkers want. He's tapped into what New Yorkers need. That is why he had such a convincing victory over Andrew Cuomo outright in the Democratic primary. Andrew Cuomo, on the other hand, is in fucking Southampton. He's almost as far away from New York City as you can get. He's hanging out on Long Island with a bunch of rich assholes while wanting to be the mayor of New York City. Just optically, that is not going to sit well with the general electorate. The article begins, Andrew Cuomo is counting on President Trump and top Republicans to tell the party faithful to vote for him if they want to stop Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani from becoming the next mayor of New York. Cuomo even thinks the president could tell GOP voters to not support the Republican nominee Curtis Sliwa in the November election. The alternative, he says, is a Democratic socialist leading the nation's biggest city. There's one fundamental flaw with this thinking. The residents of New York City didn't like Andrew Cuomo as a Democrat. Why would they like him as a Republican when New York City consistently votes Republican consistently votes Democrat, in every major election? This doesn't even begin to discuss policy, of which Andrew Cuomo's is virtually non-existent. There's his tremendous corruption scandals. There's now the link between him and Jeffrey Epstein that Zohran Mamdani so nicely elucidated for everybody. Cozying up with Donald Trump has no political benefit unless you're a Republican in a Republican district or a Republican state. And even then, it doesn't have that much benefit. Historically, the Trump-backed candidates, whether it's governor, whether it's for Senate, they don't pan out. Normal people do not like the MAGA agenda. They do not like they do not like how far right conservatives are. We can minimize the Sliwa vote because he'll never be a serious candidate. And Trump himself, as well as top Republicans, will say the goal is to stop Mandani. And you'll be wasting your vote on Sliwa, so I feel good about that, said Cuomo at his donors-only Hamptons fundraiser on Saturday. This was, I guess, a hot mic. This is audio obtained by Politico, I believe, originally from the New York Times. Do not quote me on that. Publicly, Cuomo, a Democrat and the former governor of New York, has shunned the idea of getting any help from Trump. Cuomo said he'd decline an endorsement and denied a New York Times report that he'd spoken with the president about the race. Oh, but now Cuomo wants to cozy up with the wannabe dictator. Now he wants to cozy up with Donald Trump because this isn't about doing what's best for the people living in a specific area. This is about defeating somebody who is a threat to the establishment. Andrew Cuomo no longer gives a fuck about New Yorkers. He only gives a shit about defeating Zohran Mamdani. This is a key issue with the Democratic Party. When you are a corporate Democrat, when you are a Democrat who has aligned yourself with the oligarchy, you will play politics in a way that benefits the oligarchy. The existence, the presence of Zohran is a threat to hyper wealthy. It is a threat to the elite. Andrew Cuomo, as a member of the elite, is personally threatened by Zohran Mamdani. That's why he is fighting so desperately to gain any edge possible. But Cuomo seemed hopeful for the president's help behind closed doors, speaking to the more Trump-friendly crowd gathered at media mogul Jimmy Finkelstein's home in Southampton, the ultra-wealthy Long Island enclave 80 miles east of New York City. Another co-host of the fundraiser, former New York City Council President Andrew Stein, told The Times he briefed Trump last month on how Cuomo had the best chance to beat Mamdani in the general election. And Trump may be receptive, Stein suggested to the publication. The president's heart is still with New York, and he, quote, doesn't want a communist and socialist running the city. But the people clearly want this communist, this socialist. That he's really a democratic socialist, which is a little to the right of socialism and communism. The people want him. But they don't want him because of these fancy fucking theoretical buzzwords. No one gives a shit about communism and socialism because no one knows what the fuck it means, right? New Yorkers want Zohran because he wants free and fast buses. He wants universal child care. He wants police reform. He wants to address the exorbitant cost of living crisis. He wants to freeze rents. That is why people want to vote for him. It is so hard for establishment politicians to comprehend this because they don't think in terms of policy. They only think in terms of politics. Mamdani won a stunning victory over the former governor in the June Democratic primary, expanding the electorate and defeating Cuomo 56-44 in the final round of ranked choice voting. Cuomo is now running in the general election on the independent fight and deliver party line and trying to rally support in a field that also includes Sliwa and Mayor Eric Adams. Adams is a registered Democrat, but opted out of his party primary when his budding alliance with Trump further tanked his chances. He's also seeking re-election on an independent line. Motherfuckers don't like Eric Adams either. You have two of the most historically unpopular people in the history in recent memory in New York City, in New York State politics, fuck just New York City, running against a charismatic young person who is fighting for change. I'm not even going to address Curtis Sliwa. This guy is a circus act who the Republican Party trots out every mayoral election just so they can have somebody in the fight. He gets the same treatment that Mac McClung gets from the NBA every year with the dunk contest. Cuomo took questions at the event, and an attendee asked Cuomo directly if he or his team was in conversation with the White House about how Trump might influence the race. Cuomo didn't directly deny it at the time. Let's put it this way. I know the president very well. I believe there's a big piece of him that actually wants redemption in New York. He feels that he was rejected by New York. We voted for Hillary Clinton. Bill de Blasio took his name off things. So I believe there will be opportunities to actually cooperate with him. I also believe that he's not going to want to fight with me in New York if he can avoid it. So I believe there will be opportunities to actually cooperate with him. Bad news. If you're a Hispanic person in New York City, Andrew Cuomo is going to sell you out to the Trump administration. That is the cooperation that we're talking about here. They are going to comply with ICE. The Gestapo is going to be all throughout the five boroughs, just basically kidnapping every brown-skinned person there. This is what Andrew Cuomo is talking about. Sliwa doesn't think Trump would nudge the GOP to Cuomo, saying the party can't get over Cuomo's role in signing a 2019 law that let more people out on bail pre-trial, quote, and then you've got a guy who's been smacking fannies and killing grannies. Dude, that fucking banged so hard. Oh my God. Unfortunately, this is a banger one-liner because Andrew Cuomo is literally a grandma killer and a fucking pervert. He killed your grandma, your auntie, your grandpa. He's sexually assaulted, what was it, 11 women, credibly sexually assaulted 11 women. Yeah, he's a fucking clown. You add into that his corruption when it comes to the MTA, for example, and now his links to Jeffrey Epstein. He's just a gross fucking person. Sliwa added, referring to Cuomo's resignation following sexual harassment accusations and his management of COVID in nursing homes, Cuomo has denied wrongdoing in both instances. Freak. Quote, why don't we have a debate and see how many Republicans go with Cuomo? In the streets, we have a word for that. Fugazi, a fake. Cuomo spokesperson Rich as a party downplayed Cuomo's statements as speculating and a hypothetical. Quote, we're not asking for or expecting help from anyone, he said. Governor Cuomo is the only chance to beat Mamdani and ensure the greatest city in the world stays the greatest city in the world. Your only chance to beat Zohran got smoked by 12 points. Ranked choice voting is not supposed to be decided right away. This Democrat primary was supposed to go 4 or 5 rounds. Mamdani was not supposed to win outright in the first round. That is how massive of an upset this was. That is how remarkably unpopular Andrew Cuomo still is. Cuomo is planning to rig the election, Mamdani campaign spokesperson Dora Pekic said in a statement. Since he's too afraid to say it to New Yorkers' faces, we'll make it clear Andrew Cuomo is Donald Trump's choice for mayor. Cuomo also talked at the fundraiser about getting Adams out of the race, so the anti-Mamdani vote isn't split among them. A Gotham polling and analytics survey conducted this month for the AARP showed Mamdani leading with a 42% in the general election, but his top 4 opponents collectively got 50%. They've been talking about getting Adams out of the race for a minute now. They are worried about this split, the anti-Mamdani split. Adams, quote, won't allow himself to be a spoiler, Cuomo said at the fundraiser. If that happened, he'd have to move to Florida afterwards because Adams would be responsible for Mamdani winning, and he believes Mamdani would be horrendous for the city, and we've had that conversation. That didn't sit well with Adams, who eviscerated Cuomo in a statement as an embarrassing double-digit loser who couldn't beat a socialist, and his failure created this entire scenario. Gee, guys, this socialism shit may be popular. I don't know. I'm just saying. You guys keep saying he's a socialist, and every time you mention that he's a socialist, his approval goes up and up. I don't know. Man. It also, again, Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo are violently out of touch with everyday New Yorkers. Just a reminder, Eric Adams is from New Jersey, and Andrew Cuomo is from Westchester. He should stop lecturing others, drop out of the spotlight, and maybe start by giving his daughter back her apartment. Another attendee at the fundraiser asked Cuomo if it's legal or ethical to offer Eric Adams something to drop out of the race, which prompted laughs from the crowd. If you just offer him, if you want Eric Adams out of the race, just buy him a first-class ticket to Istanbul. He'll be gone. And maybe he'll actually come back with hair this time. Cuomo kept the laughter going, joking about Stein's reputation after pleading guilty to tax evasion in 2020. It's neither legal nor ethical, but Andy is talking to him. So great things happening in the New York City mayor race. Andrew Cuomo is so desperate to get Zohran, to beat Zohran, that he's teaming up with he's hoping to team up with the literal fucking Antichrist. Reminder, guys, it's not going to work. The only way that you would be able to beat Zohran is on policy. But fortunately for us, Andrew Cuomo has no fucking policy. This is another thing I don't understand about with Andrew Cuomo just being in the mayor's race in general. Do you have a humiliation fetish? I find myself repeating this when it comes to so many politicians who continue to put themselves in the spotlight despite being thoroughly dismantled every time they're in public. I think of Nebraska Representative Mike Flood, who continues to have town halls glazing Donald Trump despite every time him going out in front of his constituents, he gets his fucking ass chewed out. Andrew Cuomo is the same thing. He resigned in disgrace as the governor of New York for killing your grandma, for killing your aunt, for sexually assaulting nearly a dozen women, and then for also writing and releasing a book on leadership during the COVID pandemic while all of this shit was going on. He hid from the spotlight for a couple of years and thought to himself, I should crawl out of my swamp to take on one of the most popular politicians in the country right now, and that being Zohran Mamdani. And he decided to do this without having a clear-cut agenda. If you notice, whenever Andrew Cuomo talks about the New York City mayor's race, there's no discussion on policy. Meanwhile, every time you see something from Zohran, he is reiterating his policy goals, whether it is a video on social media, whether it's in an interview, even when the interviewer tries to put him in like an intellectual chokehold. Mamdani always brings it back to, I'm looking to freeze the rent. I'm looking to open up government-run grocery stores, or one government-run grocery store at least. I'm looking at universal childcare. I'm looking to alleviate the financial burden that plagues New Yorkers. I'm looking to improve their material conditions. And now every time you see something with Andrew Cuomo, it's him hanging out with a bunch of rich assholes hoping to cozy up alongside Donald Trump. It's ridiculous. This is not going to play well with the general public.